Hello, good afternoon, friends. Good to connect with you once again today. I quickly decided to do this video because it might be of help to somebody out there, either a car owner or a automobile repair personnel. This video is actually meant, for those two groups. It's possible you may have been battling with this car issue that presented itself to us some few days ago, and I just said let me chronicle this video and send it out there because it might be of help to any one of us. Actually, the vehicle, it's a 2004 model year Lexus RX330, and the customer complaint was drivability issues. The customer couldn't rev the vehicle well. The vehicle could not climb an uphill, and as it's walking it stalls or it stutters. So drivability issues. So when we got there, according to procedure, we hooked up our scan tool into the vehicle, and fortunately we were able to pull out some codes from the vehicle, analyze them, and we're able to get a headway on the repairs. I'll mention those codes, though I have tagged it as the title of this video. The codes are actually P0351, 0352, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I'm actually using a tool here, a scan tool. It's called X100 Pro. It's a handheld scanning machine that can help you read the trouble codes from your vehicle. Actually, when your check engine light comes on in your vehicle, it shows that something is wrong within your engine management system and has to be corrected. So whenever you see that yellow or amber check engine light, attention is needed, and you need a scan tool such as this to pull the codes from the vehicle. So we pulled out those codes as mentioned in the tagline of this video, and the definition of the codes is that because it's a V6 engine, an engine that has 6 coil on plug system. So those 6 cylinders, the codes is that the ignition primary or secondary circuit was malfunctioning. So that was the work that we had to do to and we needed to correct the problem. So the repair procedures, we were able to get some TSBs called technical service bulletins that assisted us in the fixing of the vehicle. And I'll quickly mention it here for the repair guys out there that may have been battling with this same problem, so that you can have something that can help you for a quick fix. So the code actually signifies that there is a challenge on the circuitry of the ignition system. There's a challenge. So I'll quickly describe that circuitry and see how we're able to solve the problem. Each of the ignition coils has a harness wire connector attached to it, and it's a 4-pin wiring system. On those 4-pin wiring system, we have 4 color-coded kinds of wire, and those wires were actually coming from the ECU or the ECM, otherwise known as the brain box of the vehicle. So the brain box controls the timing of the ignition. So on this particular vehicle, we actually tried to confirm if power was getting to the harness connectors, and truly we were able to identify a switched 12-volt power source on a line that is color coded red. It's actually a solid red wire, and it runs through each of the 6 cylinders. So that was established, and that was exactly what the technical service bulletin told us to do, and we checked it, and that passed. The second wire is the number 4 pinout wire on the harness connector on the ignition coil, and that is color coded white striped with black, and that is the ground, or otherwise known as the earth wire of that source. We also established that it was present on the 6 of the harness connectors. The challenge that we now discovered eventually that actually sets this code coming up in the vehicle and not allowing it to move well is there are 2 wires nestled in the middle of those 4 wires on each of the harness connector. Those 2 wires, actually one carries the ignition timing. The brain box actually times the correct period where spark should actually occur on each of the cylinder. So one of those wires actually carries that timing. Then the second one is actually a feedback line that runs through the 6 of the harness wire. That feedback line is a line that the ECM uses to ensure that each of the cylinder actually are getting their sparks at the right time. So if one of those cylinder is not getting spark, it sends that lines, which is actually number 2 on the 4 pinout on each of the harness connectors, sends the message back to the ECM that this particular coil is not receiving spark, and the ECU, which is the computer of the vehicle, will set that code so that by the time you read it, you can be able to effect repairs. So now, how did we solve this problem? We actually solved the problem because on this particular vehicle, it could take on another form in another vehicle, but on this particular vehicle, that common line, the feedback line, which is number 2 pinout on the harness connector, is actually being shorted. So it's actually shorted out, meaning in layman's terms it's actually being grounded kind of. So it's not allowing the message to go back to the brain box, informing the brain box that each of the cylinder is receiving its correct spark. So when we traced it, now find out that one of the ignition coil, 1 out of the 6 is actually shorted, and that happens to be the number 1 cylinder, which is located at the rear, close to the firewall of the vehicle. So we traced it, corrected that wire I was telling you about. The ignition feedback wire is actually a white stripe with a red wire. So if you are a repair technician, all you just need to do, you go to the ECU. So if you are a repair technician, all you just need to do, go to the ECU with your battery terminals off, unplug this 5 sockets to the ECU. The first one has that ignition feedback line on pinout number 24 of the first connector. Is known as the E8 connector. That number 24 pinout, just trace its continuity to each of the 6 cylinder, and you'll be able to identify which of the cylinder is actually being shorted out. Change the coils, correct the wiring, and your car, it will be good to fly or go. So this may be of help to any one of us out there that have had this code read out.